Good afternoon, Washington, D.C. This is Tony Browder here with another edition of the Browder File Show. I'm happy to be back. I was out of town, out of the country last week. I was participating in my first Why Kim It Matters tour. I had a group of approximately 30 people touring in London and Paris, visiting the Egyptian collections in the British Museum and the Louvre, examining the African presence and specifically the African American presence in the London community and in the French community. It was an exciting, really exciting tour, and all of the participants thoroughly enjoyed themselves. We had an opportunity as well to intermingle with people of African descent in both London and Paris. There were people of African descent who were born in London and Paris, people of African descent living in both cities whose ancestry could be traced back to West Africa primarily or the Caribbean. So it was wonderful just interacting with that community, building cultural bridges, historical bridges with that community and the African American community. And we also had two presentations, one held in London and another held in Paris. And that gave us an opportunity for me to chop it up with British scholars, Robin Walker and Paula Bina and myself gave presentations and were well received by that community in London. And then this past Friday, I had a presentation in Paris and was so warmly received. This is my first presentation in Paris. And we had folk who had traveled to Paris from, there was a brother who traveled from Belgium, there was a sister who traveled from Switzerland, and many in the audience were young folk, young meaning in their 30s and 40s, who were just being exposed to information about ancient Kemet African history and culture. And it was really great just to hear their response to the presentation and their excitement about learning about their history and culture. So next week, I will have a couple of guests on who actually traveled to London and Paris with us, and we'll talk about that trip in more detail. We'll talk about the power of travel, the importance of interacting with African people all across the world and building bridges of understanding and building cultural connections. So we'll talk about that next Wednesday, which will be doing the pledge drive. And of course, we'll be coming back to you, the Washington, D.C. and national community, asking for your support of my show, your support of this radio station, so that in times of erasure, where opportunities to have programs such as this or radio stations that give you the other side of the news, give you a broader overview of the world and specifically the world of African people, our history, our culture, our traditions. Those voices are being silenced, and your support for this radio station is needed now more than ever before. I also want to thank everyone who gave me birthday shout outs this past Saturday. I am engaged in another cycle around the sun. And as always, birthdays provide me with opportunities to reflect on my life, what I've done and what I want to do. And as we're often reminded, we don't know when our life will come to an end. And it's so critically important that we make the most of every single day. It's important that we also acknowledge those in our lives who add value to our lives and have conversations with them while they are still alive, while they can still hear the praise that we may wish to heap upon them. And it's so important as well to be able to have and establish connections with those who add value to our lives. And that topic really resonates with my soul as I introduce to you my guest for today. He's a filmmaker and has made a film about a young boy, a 12-year-old boy, who was mourning the death of his grandfather. And this is a story that personally spoke to my heart because I could see my relationship with my grandfather in the eyes of this 12-year-old boy. This weekend is the weekend of the 18th annual African Diaspora International Film Festival, which is going to be held this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at George Washington University in the Student Center. And it's being presented by Art Matin Productions and Africa World Now Project. WPFW is proud to be a media partner. And you've heard on the other previous show, Sophie's Parlor, they interviewed the director of a film on Hazel Scott. And I'm really proud that my brother Mwiza extended an invitation to me to have on as my guest today the director of the closing night film for the festival. The film is called The Rhythm of Dammam. It's going to air on this Sunday at 6:30 p.m. There'll be a screening followed by a Q&A with the director, who is my guest today. And I'm pleased and so proud to have Brother Jayan Cherian. So welcome, my brother. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Tony, for having me. I'm, I'm happy to be with you and talking to you.
Well, great. Well, before we talk about your film, I want to spend a few minutes talking about you. Tell our audience where you're from and what prompted you to decide to become a filmmaker.
Yes, thank you. First, let me tell thank you for African Diaspora having Rhythm of Dammam showing that which is August 3rd, 5:30 Sunday at Washington, DC, in the University Student Center. Thank you. And my name is Jayan Cherian. I live in New York. I'm a New Yorker, but living here lasted 35 years. As a young person, I uh, migrated to New York. I'm an immigrant. I born in India, uh, and I went to school in New York. Uh, Under college, I majored film there. Then I went to City University, Harlem, City College of New York, and I did my MFA in filmmaking. And since then, I've been making films in India, in the United States, going back and forth.
So what
And
prompted you what prompted you to decide to major in film?
Oh, yeah. I am. I was a writer. I'm a poet in my language, which is Malayalam. I born in Kerala, India. Their language is my mother tongue is Malayalam. I write poems and stories in my language. And once I come to New York as a uh, young person, and I keep on writing poetry, and I join Hunter College, major literature, creative writing,
Mm.
and I double major film. Uh, to writing Malayalam as a poet, very hard to convey my language, the aesthetic atmosphere, aesthetic world I created in the poem. When I translating it to English, I'm not fluent in English then. So I start to visualize my poems in the film 101 classes and production classes. Then a couple of my works as an experimental filmmaker to visualize my poetry, I started my initial filmmaking, and then I start to double major in filmmaking. And then I shot my thesis film with my friends and in under college. Then Abbas Karastami, then we have a masterclass program at Hunter and Mohammed together. I was one of the students in his masterclass program. And then I initiated the filmmaking, and most of my works went to the little festivals, which is um, picked at that time the Cannes festival. There was a short film corner I started, and I sent my experimental films there. That also get an opportunity to show the film at the same time, network with the other filmmakers. This is draw me into filmmaking, and also gradually this became my primary mode of storytelling. and visual. New York make me a filmmaker. Probably that's a better way I can say. Uh, as an artist, as a storyteller, the linguistic and image, and also poetry and images. We are telling story through images in poetry. At the same time, we are doing the same in the films. We are juxtaposing images and creating new meaning. So I initiated that way. Then I went to, of course, my undergraduate films get a little get popularity with short film circles. So I decided to major my master's program filmmaking. That then I end up in City College for MFA.
So how many films have you made in your
So
career?
my major work that it was one of the work about the gender fluidity in New York City is called Miss Rosewood or Shape of the Shapeless. Is that film? Uh, it got the student Oscar nominee for the documentary
Mm,
uh, uh, from the City College. So that film gave me more opportunities that showed at various film festivals around the world, to Guadalajara, to Rio in India, and also
mm,
several. Even it was started like a Rhode Island Film Festival, and it went around. So
mm-hmm,
the next film, I went to India and made a film about caste and
mm-hmm,
and oppressed people in the Western Ghats of India. That film was banned in India. It's called Papilio Bhutha, which was a group of untouchables, so-called
mm-hmm.
untouchable people, denouncing their uh, the caste Hinduism and taking refuge in Buddhism in order to escape from caste oppression. And
Mm-hmm.
also the landless Dalit people, they call Dalit people in India,
Yes.
the formerly known as depressed class.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a resistant movement, like a squatting program. There's thousands of families go and squat the government land and refuse to go out. It's called as land struggles. In southern India, there is several land struggle venues at that time in late 90s and early 2000s. And I showed the film in a live land struggle venue, cast people from the movement. And that film was really get banned in India. At the same time, it was premiered at Berlinale. And
Mm.
it's going to be a fine all over the world. And later, that was part of a movement which is kind of oppressed Dalit people uh, in southern India, especially in Kerala, organized under the umbrella of Dalit human rights movement. Is called a
Sure.
DHRM, and I was part of that movement. And also, it has a momentum. What the icons of the India, like blemishless image of Gandhi, was really somewhat blasphemously we try to break that because Gandhi was intrinsically a Sanatani and of course aligned with the upper caste people. The
Sure.
Dalits' resemblance was depicted in the film, and also Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy. Dr. Ambedkar is kind of the champion of who designed and who is the primary architect of the Indian Constitution. Was coming from the depressed class, that was the
Sure.
12th class. And he
Well,
was also a student of Columbia University.
I'm
So,
so pleased to hear you addressing that issue of the
yeah,
caste
yeah,
system and the Dalits. And I first became aware of that population through a mutual acquaintance of ours, Brother
yeah,
Renoka Rashidi.
yeah,
He wrote about it in several of the journals of Ivan Van Sertima
yeah,
and actually traveled to India and brought one of the Dalit leaders back to the United States where he gave several lectures. So it's so critically important, the work that you're doing to shed light on the oppressed people of India. And I'm not surprised at all that your film was banned. Obviously, it must have shown the Indian nation or the Indian government in an unfavorable light. But I appreciate the courage that it took on your part to be able to speak about injustices in your own homeland. How did your colleagues respond to that particular film?
That particular film went a lot of critical uh, appreciations, but in India it has kind of mixed feeling. Traditionally, their main accusation was protesters of Dalit protesters burning an effigy of Gandhi in the film.
Hmm.
That was the huge hubris, or it is kind of iconoclastic scene in the film.
But
That
so wait,
was
wait,
the
wait, wait.
major
Stop
problem.
before you shoot past that
Yeah.
statement. Why were they burning in effigy an image of Gandhi? Because here in the West, we're taught that Gandhi is the Martin Luther King of India. So obviously, the Dalit people see Gandhi through different eyes, a different lens.
Dr. Ambedkar, even when while Gandhi was alive and he was taking a stand, and when I start to tell that story, it is kind of we have to go back to 1920s, late 1920s. The Gandhi's longest Satyagraha was happened in India, which was he was in Yerwada jail, which was against the communal award, which is a separate constituencies for the Dalit people, which was awarded by then British Prime Minister Donald Ramsay. So that was the idea of dividing constituencies, give separate constituency for Dalits, will divide the Hindu unity, which was Gandhi opposed it. Gandhi started a satyagraha to withdraw uh, Dr. Ambedkar and give up the rights of the separate constituency. So he went to Satyagraha until he declared it, and the people pressuring Dr. Ambedkar to give up the rights the constitutionally given to the Dalits. So uh, uh, Dr. Ambedkar, in order to save Gandhi's life, forced to give up these things. But later, after Dr. Ambedkar was declared, and he wrote a book, what Congress and Gandhi have done to India, untouchables of India. In that book,
Mhm.
he specifically wrote a sentence, which is the Satyagraha is a filthy act, it's a foul act, it's one of the most corrosive act to strip the constitutionally awarded rights from the most depressed class of India. That
Mhm.
quotation, one of the character in my film, which was evoking. And also, that is also under the new Dalit movements, the landless, colonized, marginalized community rising up in southern India in late 90s and 2000s, several land struggle movements done under the leadership of Dalit leaders. So these historical events are evoked repeatedly, and also in order to, in the context, the fictional context of the movie, they want to resist another satyagraha from the upper caste people, who, in
Mhm.
order to evict them from the occupied land.
Sure.
Uh,
Well,
in That's it.
and I do have to say, well, let me just tell my listeners that you're listening to Jayan Cherian, who is a writer and filmmaker. His film, The Rhythm of Dammam, will be the closing film for the 18th annual African Diaspora International Film Festival. This Sunday, it will be airing at GW University in the Student Center. But your film, the film that is going to be premiered
Yeah.
this weekend follows in the tradition that you were just speaking of previously, of showcasing the displaced people of India. This particular film, The Rhythm of Dammam, focuses on a group of Bantu people who were enslaved by the Portuguese, brought from Southeast Africa, enslaved by the Portuguese, and brought to the Indian subcontinent, where they have been oppressed for centuries, I would imagine.
Yes.
Tell me, give us a little
Yeah.
background about
Yeah.
these people, the Sidis. Is that how you pronounce them?
Siddhi community, the African
Yes.
diaspora, generally in India, now called Siddhis. The pre-colonial time, most of that term was Habshis. Habshi is the term which is uh, one of the version of Abyssinia. Abyssinia is Ethiopia, the Horn of
Mhm.
Africa, most of the people. But this particular community in northern Uttara Kannada district in Karnataka, India, they are brought to uh, under colonial slavery as chattel slave trade conducted by Portuguese and Arab traders.
Mhm.
And that
So what time
particular
frame are we talking about?
actually, from 16th to the later part of the 18th century, until slave trade was banned in Indian Portuguese land in 1865.
Mhm.
Generally, in British India, it was banned in 1835. So the descendants of the African diaspora in this particular region have another sad story to tell.
Mhm.
uh, because after this several reasons, the runaway slaves run away to the forest and clear their land and created their own communes like Maroons, or the Brazilian runaway slaves create their own commune within the forest. The same
Mhm.
as happened in that region since the colonial slavery entered in in Portuguese land. The Portuguese Goa is very close to the Konkan forest, Konkan
Mhm.
region. So most of these slaves run away to the Konkan forest. There are several reasons. The Portuguese also inflicted uh, some kind of inquisition in 1500s among the converted Christians of that region, when the Hindu Brahmins, upper caste people who forced to convert under Portuguese rule
Mm.
to Christianity, but
Mm.
they just nominally um, convert and practice their pagan rituals secretly. Then the church found out this, and in order to trial them and punish them, they set up a court called Inquisition, like a Spanish Inquisition. There is a Govan Inquisition. In that
Mhm.
period, the rich landlords and all these people, slaveholders and agrarian landlords, and the people who do the trades, they have a lot of properties. But if before they go to this trial, they have the church will strip their all property. That at that time, a lot of slaves get opportunity to they're forced to free them. They run away to this forest region of Kongan, which is in
Mhm.
British India.
Sure.
That is kind of and that another thing is another event was the plague. The several dens of the slave dens of the Goa, Portuguese Goa, was kind of unattended, and several slaves get an opportunity to flee. And
Mm.
later, 1865, officially Portuguese Goa banned slavery
Mhm.
and the abolition of slavery, technically. But these runaway slaves went to the Kongan region and clear the land and create this wild land and make it arable. Then they realized that land is not belongs to them. The
Mhm.
local landlords, now the Hindu Brahmin landlords, re-enslave them. And they
Mm.
move them to the other part in order to clear out the land. And eventually, these people are transferred with the land. In after independence, you can see still uh, people in a semi-feudal condition, bounded labor, and we can see that after the slavery, the colonial slavery ended, the post-industrial revolution slavery ended. These people supposed to be free, and also. What happened? There is some kind of re-enslavement happened, and they re-enslaved into a millennium-old oppressive system called caste system,
Mhm. Yes.
and which is the SIDDIS uh, reinitiated or re-ensnared into the bottom of that caste ladder,
Mhm.
even
Mhm.
beyond Dalit people. So uh, that was kind of a tragedy of the Siddhi community in Karnataka. But
Okay.
they are not monolithic in India. You can see the Siddhi communities, Gujarat, in Pakistan, in Sindh, even
Mm,
Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. They're very diverse community. I focus only in this particular community, the Konkan region. They speak Konkani dialect, which is a Creole of they call
mm,
Siddhi Bhasha in this particular region. This
okay.
is the first film ever made in that language. And
Okay.
also, that one thing is that there is a movement from that community right now. The young people are rising up. They want to connect with the larger African diaspora around the world. This film is an attempt to reconnect their attempt. It is a collective movement to reconnect to the larger diaspora, African diaspora. They are not in isolation at all. They have international movements like Asian African Diaspora
Okay.
Association, and they have NGOs runs, and there is new movement coming up. The film is the part of that movement.
So
And
let's drill down and let's talk about the film. I have a great appreciation for film, the visual elements of film, and I have to say that the opening of your film is so visually tantalizing. You have an aerial shot of the forest that you just described. It's so rich, it's so dense, it's so lush, and then we come into the village and meet the participants of that community as a man is being funeralized. His body is being burned on a funeral pyre. And so we're witnessing the death of someone, and we come to find out that he is was a leader within community,
yeah,
but more specifically, we find out that he is the heart and soul of his 12-year-old grandson, who's left to mourn the death of his grandfather. So we aren't given any background information about his grandfather. We're seeing this loss through the eyes of this 12-year-old boy. And so the way that you constructed this narrative and the visuals associated with it was so compelling. And I have to ask you a question before we get into the film. Where did you find that actor that played that 12-year-old boy? He was
yeah.
mesmerizing.
He is nephew of one of my friend, Mohan Siddi. He's from the community. I was writing the film living in his house. And
Mm,
first I met him, he was 6 year old. And we
okay,
shot when he was 12. Now he's turning 13 and 14. Yeah, 14.
sure. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
and actually that is the every actors in the film. There is only two trained actors. All others are uh, the people, the community people,
mhm.
and they are the part of. They are playing themselves in the film.
They're playing themselves.
And
Well, look,
yeah,
I have to say that I trusted this young man, and what is his name? I want to acknowledge it. All
Chinmaya
right.
Siddhi. Uh,
I
and
trust.
his
I
uncle in the film, he's his
uh-huh.
uncle, real uncle, Mohan Siddhi. He's
Okay.
acting.
I trust that this film puts him on in an international spotlight, and other writers and directors see the talent within this young now 13-year-old boy, because there's a persona that emanates from him, his
Mhm.
eyes and the way that he just responded to the grief that he was experiencing, and the hurt within his soul as he was trying to understand his grandfather. Man, kudos to you for really putting this young man's soul on film. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Let me
Thank
let
you.
me tell our listeners that you're listening to the Browder File Show. We are interviewing writer and director Jayan Cherian, who is the director of a new film that will be the closing film at the 18th Annual African Diaspora International Film Festival at GW University this weekend. He will um, have the closing screening of a film, and you'll have an opportunity to participate in the Q&A session with the director after the film. Tell us about the title of the film, The Rhythm of Dammam. What is
Yeah.
that? What does that mean?
Damam is a musical instrument. That's a percussion drum. That's particularly the people using that community. It part of their ancestral worship, and the music is in the blood of the community. For mourning, they play this damam. For celebration, they play this damam, and also communicating with their ancestors. That is straightly coming from Ngoma tradition of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And that the damam only means just a drum. But for these people, dama means that's the process of playing the drum, and also that joy in the people coming together. And during this damam playing, they call there is a ritual called Hirayaru worship, the ancestral worship. That
Mm-hmm.
this damam is in its peak, it's slip into a trance, a shamanic
Yes.
trance,
Mm-hmm.
and the leader of the community and a major person in the family, the elder person who will possessed by ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
and also the ancestral presence is there when they play the mom. And
Yes.
the film is dealing with the intergenerational trauma that
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Joyce famously coined out that the post-traumatic slave syndrome, uh,
Yes.
uh, which is also intergenerational. That the intergenerational trauma we are trying to depict. The boy is suffering from that trauma, but
Yes.
that trauma. Beyond that, as the evocation of ancestors and recollecting the memory and resisting against erasures of the
Right. Right.
history.
We
And
also
this,
see.
yeah,
No, I want to say we also see the trauma with between the two brothers,
yeah,
the sons of the grandfather, the older brother who is an alcoholic and has a
yeah,
drug
yeah,
problem, and he's interested in the inheritance, right?
yeah,
He's
yeah,
interested in getting something that would bring him some value, right? He's not interested in maintaining the traditions. At least I got the impression that he wasn't interested in maintaining the traditions, the spiritual
sure,
traditions of his father, but the boy was, the
yes,
grandson
yeah,
was. And how you had the grandson go into these mystical journeys into the ancestral realm
yeah.
to interact with his grandfather was so breathtaking, man.
Mhm.
I really appreciated that aspect of the
And
film.
also the tradition coming from really African roots.
Yes.
And this ancestry, the passing of the shamanic rites, not everyone get it.
Yes.
Actually, this boy's father supposed to inherit these things,
Mm-hmm.
but he is very blasphemous. At the same time, he having very kind of profane life.
Mm-hmm.
So it is directly going to the grandson.
Yes.
And that tradition and the presence is that connecting, reconnecting. Still, these people, after all this multiple generation of deletion of memory, still that connections, reconnections, and that kind of muscle memory, bringing them to the Africa and the Bantu traditions of Africa.
Sure. Well, let me ask you a personal question. Since you were born in India, and you have developed an affinity for the oppressed people in India, are these ancestral rituals a part of Indian culture, or
There
were they
is
just traditions that were brought by this group of Bantu speaking people to India
the
during the period of enslavement?
ancestral worship in India is very prevalent and vary in different groups. But the African diaspora have a totally different way of looking at it.
Mm.
African Indian ancestral worship is like a for the Pidrus and for the forefathers. They do uh, some kind of rituals annually, and that will give the moksha from the hell. Uh, that concept is in India, but for African diaspora, especially Siddhi people in Karnataka, their ancestors, they are not liberating after their death. They are living with them. And every single home, even though every poorest home have a Hirayaru room, which we are showing that. Hirayaru
Yes.
means the ancestors. This ancestor elders, this elder room, and also uh, the dead ancestors are continuous presence in their life,
Mm-hmm.
everyday life. And they are the Kartan, the leader, the elder of the family will communicate through them. And they will get permissions from these ancestors for the crucial event of the family, any decision happening in the family. The dead
Sure.
ancestors always up there looking down upon them.
Mm-hmm.
You see, then when we show the Hirayara room, the camera is up there and looking down.
Ah, okay.
That angle, the ancestral presence, always there, and
Mm-hmm.
they are living and eternal presence in day-to-day life of their ancestors. But Indians don't have. Even Hindus and Christians and other people in India have their own way of worshiping ancestors. But this is totally peculiar. This is uh, only African tradition that's connected from East Africa and the larger African region in Bantu
Right.
tradition.
Well, let me ask you a question along that line because the little bit that I do know about Indian culture, um, Hinduism, reincarnation is a part of that tradition. And from what I have read, one reincarnates into the same caste, right? That determines, the caste that you're born in
Yeah,
determines the caste that you will have for all eternity, so to speak. But we had a program recently with Wayne Chandler, who is a colleague of Runoko Rashidi, and Wayne also has a great deal of interest in Indian culture and Asian culture. And he made reference to a quote from a Yoruba priest from West Africa who talked about reincarnation from a Yoruba tradition, but he said that their concepts of reincarnation differed profoundly from the Indian concepts in that among Africans, West Africans particularly, there is an understanding that you reincarnate into the same genetic family line.
yeah,
So is
yeah.
that what was
There's
expressed in your film?
yes, yes, yeah. Of course, that is uh, the African tradition. Indian
Yes.
tradition, they're supposed to be ultimately relieved from the cycle of birth and living and life in order to get moksha. And they will be, according to your karma, is in this life, you will be born the next life according to your karma. Actually, this is a tacit, very treacherous philosophy to impose the caste system on the poor people.
Yes.
That is
Yes. Yeah.
the rationale of the karma siddhanta in Hinduism. Even Buddhism, you can see the karma and regeneration, which is all very upper caste, upper class people
Mhm.
invented to control and contain the
Yeah,
people who
absolutely.
is marginalized, or
Absolutely.
always oppressed or defeated or conquered,
Hmm.
and nothing more than that. But this here, this lineage of the intergenerational memory connecting and traveling through
Hmm.
the wisdom, also traveling through this lineage of incarnation, that is very kind of African
Hmm.
tribal traditions.
Okay. One of the
That is
other
the difference.
One of the other aspects of your film that I really appreciated in the rhythm of Dammam, the rhythm of the drum, is the role that the drum played, as you said, to summon the ancestors and to encourage the ancestors to engage in ritual dancing. And so you've got several scenes in your film of everybody in the community dancing. And I love the way that you had the family members inside of the house dancing, and the camera will pull back, and you see people dancing on the porch. You see people dancing in the front yard. So you do see this intergenerational expression of ancestral acknowledgement. And I could not help, and please accept this comparison as a note of flattery. I couldn't help but feel in seeing those scenes of the ancestors being called into this house with the drumming and the dancing. I couldn't help but compare that to the juke joint scene in Sinners when
Yeah,
Sammy
yeah.
played his guitar and called down the
Mhm. Of
ancestors,
course.
and the ancestors then influenced everybody in the juke joint. So it was so refreshing to see an Indian filmmaker uh, produce a film about Africans in India engaging in the same ceremony. So kudos to you for that, my friend. I really
Thank
enjoyed that.
you. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be with you, Tony, and great.
So let
Thank you.
me just ask you, what does that scene, because you wrote this scene for this film and you shot it in a special way. What do the ancestors mean to you?
That scene, the Damam music, they're playing in the community as a community event in various events. That particular scene is the 12-day ceremony after the death of the father or the
How many
grandfather.
days? How many days?
12 day Bara Din ceremony.
Hmm.
And also every year also this is happening, but in the film that's after the grandpa died. uh, there's supposed to be intertitle, but there is no need of that. It is kind of after 12 day there is a something called the bara din ceremony, 12-day ceremony.
Okay.
In
Now,
Hindu tradition
I
is
just want to.
16-day ceremony.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You're saying that there's a 12-day ceremony.
No, after 12th day of death.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, they do the ceremony started beginning early morning, and
Yes.
the people gathering, and uh, they cut, they sacrifice the chicken. If the
Mm-hmm.
richer people,
Yes.
they sacrifice goats, and feed the blood to the parents, and then they cook that chicken, they eat, and later evening they start this tamam. It is going to be continued to the next day morning. It's a
Hmm.
24 hours ceremony.
Got it.
That is why that that scenes are long, and it is kind of experiencing that one of this kind of ritual is kind of very very a trance feeling. Sometimes you sleep, sometimes you drink, sometimes you are half sleep, and actually sometimes very monotonous, and the people are falling down and sleeping, and later until the dawn, this continue. That continuous ritual, we have to capture and experience the people who is watching the film. Is very hard. It's a challenge. So we immerse the camera in shoulder and within the dancers, and we go forward, and it is kind of very important ceremony in that community. And also the same lyrics, same uh, dancing meant in a different event and different meaning. It generate meaning differently in different event. Even it is a the morning celebration, at the same time evoking the ancestors, their ancestral annual kind of day they're celebrating. This is all communicating with the ancestors, but the same songs have different meanings
Hmm.
beyond the literary meanings
Sure. Of
in
course.
different events. And
Hmm.
it is kind of very complex thing. It is not just a choreographed dance at all. It is kind of
Sure.
a immersion at the same time. It is slip into a trance, a shamanic trance. It
Hmm.
has kind of very um, kind of extra celestial presence of ancestors, they feel,
Hmm.
that they believe.
Now, there are several scenes in the film where the young boy, the 12-year-old grandson, is in the forest and he has what I interpret as flashbacks of the Ma'afa, flashbacks of the slave trade. There's a scene where he sees the slave ship. There's a scene where he sees the heads of, I guess, Africans who had run
Yeah,
away
yeah.
on stakes. So, was the knowledge of enslavement a part of that culture, or was it something that was literally buried in the ancestral memory of the grandfather and the young boy
Yeah.
tapped into those memories?
Yeah, there is several um, uh, young people who is more aware of this atrocity, but larger sense, the people, all the cultural memories are erased from them.
Yes.
They have, they are Muslims, Christians, and Hindus. The only Hindu diaspora, African diaspora uh, in the world right now in that region. So these religions forced upon them, uh, because that religion that belongs to their masters.
Yes.
But beyond this Hindu-Muslim divide, the one thing everybody practice this Damam and ancestral worship.
Mm.
There is very crucial for them. What was your question? Just please remind me.
Well, the question was whether or not the young boy was experiencing these memories
Yeah,
as a
that's where
result
I'm
of,
coming
yeah.
from. That
Hmm.
it's actually in the film. In order to bring this old world is intergenerational trauma. To bring that trauma, I use this idea of Dr. Joy's idea of this
Joy DeGruy.
post-traumatic slave, yeah, Joy
Hmm.
Drew's idea of the post-traumatic slave syndrome, and which triggered by a reason. The boy was initially very happy and living in this kind of love of his family and everything. His one cousin brother, once he got this ancestral tools, and his uncle says you can communicate with ancestors in Africa, but his entire world was shattered by the words of the rapper, his cousin.
Hmm.
Cousin tell him this is bullshit. We were slaves and bought from there. And he exposed the images, the room there, Malcolm X and Malik Umber and Tupac Shakur there. And also there is enslaved people, tortured. And this kind of uh, uh, stories, the narratives contradicting, shattered his world, which triggered the trauma.
Hmm. Mm.
And then that is the logic of the fictional logic of the film. But as a storyteller, this is the only way I can access the intergenerational memory. And the film is about erased history,
Hmm.
erased memory, the culture, actually resistance against cultural genocide. You
Hmm.
know, this thing actually the boy in the fictional logic of the film, the this boy exposed to this kind of hard realities and shattered by his cousin brother, his tell him we don't have the glorious, that we don't need to get a time to bring the stones from Africa. There is a deity in that community called Siddinas. There is a deity which is in a small temple. They believed that stone is come from Africa.
Mm.
But actually, the young educated people, young youth of the society probably logically think where we have time to bring these things because we are chattel slaves. The people are selling us like cattle. We didn't have a time. But this is kind of how these young people are dealing with their logic. Uh, uh, to this tradition, but at the same time, the traditional wisdom is also use it as a tool of empowerment.
Sure.
W.B. Du Bois also talking about this kind of uh, ancestral thing, and also the Africans and the community leaders, how kind of their chieftains, how they behave.
Hmm.
Uh, and the soul of this black folks, and in the book in his article he's explaining these things that is kind of not even connected, but the muscle memory connect these things.
Hmm. So
Dr.
what you
Joyce Drew
call
also says that.
what you call muscle memory, I refer
Mhm.
to as ancestral intelligence,
Yeah,
right?
of course,
Something that
ancestral
is,
wisdom.
yeah, it's embedded in our DNA, and we
Yeah,
carry all of these memories within
mm,
our genes. It goes beyond
yeah,
the muscles; it's within our
of course.
very genes. But I want to ask you, comparing this film, The Rhythm of Dammam, with the film that you made on the Dalits that was banned in your home country. How has
Yeah.
this film been received?
Actually, this film didn't release in India yet. It was only go to the festival circuit. We attempt to. Uh, it is no explicit critique of the power there.
Hmm.
It is a larger kind of conditioning. We show the film how the multi-layered oppress or a tool of oppressions are working in the community. That's in the larger sense, not immediately provoking the government or anything. No,
Okay.
probably we hope we don't have any problem is going to happen about this film. But in between, I made several blasphemous films, so they totally upsets the authorities. But this film uh, probably not create any kind of political trouble, I hope. But
Okay.
in India, we cannot say anything.
Well, I do have to say I'm speaking with Jim Cherian, who is the director of a film that is closing the 18th annual African Diaspora International Film Festival. But I appreciate the fact that you're willing to take risks, you're willing to talk about and make films about subject matters that the powers that be may not feel comfortable with the public being exposed to. But I appreciate you following your heart as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, and and especially letting your fellow countrymen, as well as oppressed people around the world, understand our story and how valuably important it is that our stories are told by someone who is sensitive to the telling of those stories. So I would like to, in the few minutes that we have left in this show, I would like for you to extend a personal invitation to our listeners to come to George Washington University, to the Student Center this Sunday to see your film and to participate in your Q&A, please.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Jayan Cherian. I am the writer-director of Rhythm of Dammam. The film is showing a screening Sunday, August 3rd. Um, in actually that is August 3rd at 5:30 p.m. George Washington University Student Center, and all the people. The film is about the African diaspora in India and their cultural existence and their resistance. People who are interested in African diaspora in India, please come and join us. Please, we are happy to share our film with you guys. At the same time, uh, thanking African Diaspora International Film Festival for having our film there. Please come and do watch the film Rhythm of Dammam. See you on Sunday. I will be there with you and answer all your questions. Thank you.
And I
Thank you,
do want to
Tony.
add that WPFW is a media partner for the film festival, and so they're creating a special event around you, my brother. There's going to be a special VIP reception, which starts at 5:30, and then the film starts at um, at 6:30, and the film is runs 93 minutes, and then after the film you will have your Q&A. All of this is taking place this Sunday at George Washington University Student Center, which is located at 800 21st Street Northwest in Washington, D.C. So I'm so appreciative for my brother Muiza for doing these film festivals, the African film festivals, the Caribbean film festivals. I am appreciative of good films that may not be in traditional theaters or may not make their way on the television screens or the various cable channels. But this is an opportunity to learn about the world, and I'm so appreciative of your investment in your people, of you using your time and your talent in order to showcase to the world the struggles of African people. Let me ask you this about this is not depicted in the film, but I'd like to hear your take as a writer about this young boy, the 12-year-old grandson. What happens to this young boy? Tell me something. Tell me something about his life. What he does when the film is over.
He got to school and he is an excellent student and a sports person and a musician and a drummer. And he is blessed with a very lovable family. And his uncle is also Mohan Siddi. He is part of the film. And
Mm.
his another uncle uh, who is a drummer. And this family living happily, striving. And Chinmaya Siddi is an excellent student. He's this year he's going to be 11th grade, and he's studying very well. And this morning I talked to him.
Ah, very good. Well, listen. When you talk to him again, tell him that he has a fan in Tony Browder, and I look forward to him being in more films. I would like to also exercise my prerogative as the show's host to put a bug in your ear. When
Okay.
this film is well received by an international and national audience in your homeland, I would love to see you explore this young boy becoming a young man and rediscovering his grandfather's spiritual traditions
Mhm.
and finding ways to talk about how people within his community can empower themselves by cultivating their ancestral intelligence. I would love to see that, brother, and you would be the
Great.
right person with the right skill and heart to tell that story.
And he got the award from International Film Festival in Kerala. That's one of the prestigious film festival. Actually, honorable mention for best actor.
Mm,
This last when we premiered there, and
fantastic.
everybody appreciated his acting. The first time he's acting in the film, first time
Yes.
in facing camera,
Yes, well, he's a natural. He's a natural. Well,
and most of the
yes.
community, they are
Well,
dancers, they're born performers.
well, his father, the misguided son, he was a powerful, was a
Yeah,
powerful actor too.
he's a prominent actor. He's very well
Okay.
trained actor. He's
Uh-huh.
acting in Karnataka cinema and drama. He acted even things fall apart. He was uh, playing the central character of Kangos. He's a
Fantastic.
theater and film actor. And his
Fantastic.
mother also, the girl who is acted as the mother of Chinmaya,
hmm
she's also an actor. These two people are trained actors. All others are amateurs.
Good. Well, let me thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you all the success in the world. May your films continue to enlighten and empower everyone who sees them, and I look forward to your next productions. We've been talking
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you, my brother. We've been talking today with Jayan Cherian, who is the writer and director of a film, The Rhythm of Dammam, which will be closing out the 18th annual African Diaspora International Film Festival at GW University. Folk, if you're free this weekend, go down and see the numerous films. I believe there's 14 films from 14 countries that will be played. We heard the sisters on Sophie's Parlor talk about the film on Hazel Scott. And then there's also a film on Walter Rodney that is also premiering on Sunday too, I believe. So hats off to all of the organizers. Hats off to WPFW for being the media sponsor. This is Tony Browder thanking you all for listening to the Browder File Show. And again, the message is all about love, loving yourself, loving your history, loving your culture. I will see you all
Thank
next
you.
week. Take care.
Thank, thank you, Tony. Thank you.
All right, you're quite welcome, my brother, and much success. And if I can get a free moment, I would love to come through Sunday evening and get a chance to meet you
Yeah.
personally.
See you personally. I'd love to talk to you. I have to talk to you a whole lot. I know you know a lot of things. You know Dr. Clark and you know Rashidi. Ronaka Rashidi was got arrested in Kerala in 2000, in 2000, beginning of 2000 or something. He
hmm
went to a Dalit meeting, Dalit Panther meeting.
Yeah,
And
he told
also
us.
the film have a Black Panther motto in the film. Uh, Actually, that is in this film too, in Rhythm of the Mom.
hmm
The Panther tradition, the Panther worship,
hmm
also part of the Siddhi worship there,
Ah,
Siddhi
really
community.
wonderful.
So
No,
that's the motto of the coming in the film. Uh, Not the Black
we
Panther movement, but the Black Panther kind of
yeah,
deity.
and I could understand. Or well, let me ask you this question: Is there any um, cultural or spiritual connection with the Black Panther among the CD people? Do you have any knowledge of that
Yes.
connection?
That connection is there. And actually, the Konkan region, A Black Panther was a major figure in their life while they run away from the governed enslaved world, and they have to two people they have to deal with. They are away from all these masters and slaveholders, but they have to deal with king cobras and black panthers of that forest.
Uh-huh.
So no native Indian people go to inside the forest because that full of this, especially Konkan region, the king cobra and black panther. Now black panther almost get extinct right
Hmm.
now. This
Hmm.
actually you can see that a recurring motif. These people worshipping what they fear the most.
Yes, yes,
And also the mythical in the tradition of the African tribes, there are several stories of the Black Panther. Even the Marvel movie also
yes.
coming from that Black Panther tradition. So
Hmm.
even our Dalit Panther political movement in India coming from that Black Panther movement in America, African American movement. Is this panther is a recurring theme about in diaspora, African diaspora psyche, which
So
the genetic memory, as you said, from
yes.
Africa.
Yes. So, you mentioned Black Panther in the opening sequence to the first Black Panther film, they give the story of the creation of the first Black Panther. And in that narrative, it says that the first Black Panther was led to the heart-shaped herb by Bast. And Bast is a figure, a deity that comes out of ancient Kemet, who
Yeah.
is a Black Panther. And Bast represents an aspect represents a link to the spiritual realm, right?
Yes.
A link to the spiritual realm. So it's interesting that you would say that both the Black Panther and the cobra were
Mhm.
deified within Indian culture, and so we see the cobra was also an element in Nile Valley culture, where
Yeah.
in Kemet, the uraeus, the kings in
Mhm.
Kemet wore the uraeus,
Yeah.
and the kings in Kush had a double uraeus, which
Yes.
which spoke to my interpretation of it is that the uraeus speaks to the inactivated unconscious connection or connection to the unconscious world or the spiritual world, and the person then allowing themselves to be an instrument
Mhm.
of their ancestors, right, being that bridge between those two worlds. So yeah, I'd love to know more about this in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That the motive is very recurring, especially in India. Even all this, everything. Who is Indians? The first, our ancestors, the common Dalit or Brahmin, whoever in India, their ancestors, the Homo sapiens first walk out of the underbelly of Kalahari desert
Mm-hmm.
and Zwana Bushmen. No, I am from South India. We are all Dravidians. They're all our ancestors that come from
Yes.
Africa. And we are later connection with Ethiopia. The
Mm-hmm.
Christians of that area, the Ethiopian Coptic Church and their connections, that's later. But this, actually, I have to mention one thing.
Sure.
All the Africans in India historically are not part of the colonial slavery. They are kings like Malik Amber, Jalaluddin Yaqut, Malik Kafur. They are kings. And India was like ruled by like 300 years in the Konkan region was ruled by the huge dynasty called the Janjira Malik Amber's dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Janjira Fort was never conquered by British or Portuguese or any colonial forces until 1945, 49. After the Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India asked them
Mm.
to Janjira's Nawab of Janjira, he was African, and he joined the Indian Union.
I
And he
see.
still, and they are the royalties. And the huge figures like Malik Ambar in 15th century, who defeated the entire Mughal army with his 8,000 Siddhi soldiers.
Hmm.
You see, they are the mercenaries and soldiers. And
Hmm.
you can see the Jalaluddin Yaqut, the guy, the first Delhi female sultanate, the commander of Russia Sultana. And these huge figures are the kings and royalties. When you're talking about the almost uh, the Nawab of Bengal, there is a sultanate, there is a dynasty, Habshi dynasty in Bengal. in 1400s. And these people, I didn't talk about them. They are the
Sure.
royalties of Africa.
Mm,
And also you can see the African presence in India, not only slaves, they're poets, they're pirates, they're mercenaries, they're kings and royalties and poets. It's a lot of people, diverse population. And even in the ancient Indus Valley civilization have connections. We found now the pearl millet was groomed in Africa, from the Horn
mm.
of Africa, which
Really?
was we find in ancient Indian civilization that there is ancient connections together.
Well,
We are not foreign people. The Indian people are the part of Africa. It's an extension of Africa. We
mm-hmm.
just come out, walk out of Africa. But
Yeah.
a few millenniums ago, that's it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh,
And that's part of the message that Brother Renoka Rashidi
yeah,
imparted in his teachings. And I'm going to send you. We some colleagues and I did a documentary on Renoko's life
yeah,
a couple of
yeah.
years ago. So I'm going to send you a copy of that just so that you can see it
Please,
and have
please.
it in your archives.
Yeah, yeah,
Particularly as we approach the fourth anniversary of
yeah, yeah,
Renoko's passing
yeah.
on this Saturday.
Great, great. I just want to be if in part of if anything happening in New York.
Mhm. Okay, well,
Yeah,
good.
of
Well,
course.
look, I'm in New York quite frequently. Next time I'm coming, I'll reach out to you,
Yeah,
and
please.
hopefully we'll have an opportunity to get together and chat. And if you're
Yeah,
ever in Washington D.C., please, I'll send you. You have my email, but I'll send you
yeah,
my
yeah,
my telephone number. So please
yeah.
let me know if you're coming, so that
Sure.
we'll have an opportunity to meet in person and break bread.
Yeah. And talk to you on Sunday, and we will chat more. I love the knowledge and experience and the reading sphere you have, whichever I connect directly to Runako, to Dr. Clark, to all
Yeah,
this world, and amazing to catch up. I feel that connection. Like
absolutely,
first, when I
absolutely.
talked to Brother Runako, told me that I was very young. He was keeping me as like his equal. When I was very young and the early 20s, he told, oh brother, and he talked to me like I am his equal in age. And I still remember that in Bryan Park, once we were sitting in the bench and talking, and he's showing this all the pictures he took from Rajasthan. This guy is from Africa, not
Hmm.
from India, but this, and he bring all these photographs of the Dalits and establishing the connection
Yeah.
and that passion he's shown in Egypt. And you remember that show, that time he get in trouble in Egypt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
year? I forget that. I forget that. What year is that?
Hmm.
Was that?
Well,
He got
well,
he got
he
in
got in
trouble.
trouble in Egypt, and he also told me a story of him getting trouble in India when he
In
was
India, in
there doing
Kerala, in particular, that event I know. In Kollam, he went to speak in a the DHRM. I made a film about the community Dalit human rights movement.
Hmm.
That was their leader is Ayangali. There was Ayangali Memorial Day. Ayangali is a huge figure in the community, was a reformer who was a resistance. He is kind of Martin Luther King of, more than Martin Luther King, he is Malcolm X of that
Okay,
community. And
sure.
actually, he went to speak in that memorial, his memorial speech. And Dr. Ranakar, Brother Ranakar is supposed to give the speech. And he got arrested, arrested by a lefty communist government at that time. I still
Mhm.
remember that Amy Goodman in I was here. Amy Goodman in Democracy Now! Said Runako Rashidi got arrested with Stalinist government in Kerala.
Okay, now, I didn't know he got a shout out from Amy Goodman. All right.
Yeah, yeah. That one line from Amy Goodman's Morning Democracy Now! I still remember that. And
Okay.
he was not there. She was reporting that Dr. Rashid, Runako Rashidi was got arrested by the Stalinist government in Kerala.
Mm, mm, mm.
I
Well,
remember that. It is in 1980, 98 or 2000 beginning or something.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
I
thank you,
remember
my
that.
friend, for all the
Thank you.
work that you're doing and telling
Yeah,
our
yeah.
stories, and all the best to you. Okay.
Looking forward to see you.
Okay,
Take care.
brother. Take
Okay,
care.
bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye-bye. Thank
Hmm.
you. Thank you very much, Tony.
You're quite welcome.